Well, I'm still coming to terms with how we've not won that game 2-0 rather than 1-0, but we'll get round in the full circle to that when we get to the end of this reaction, because we'll start off with the positives, and that is, firstly, that we've got 3 points on the board in the opening fixture. We've got ourselves a clean sheet, and we are off the mark, and also Joshua Zirkzee is off the mark, and it was quite annoying me that they kept saying Zirkzee. Even the Manchester United announcer made a point of saying that it's Zirkzee, but you know, whatever, English media need to catch up. As always, Sky Sports are behind. But he got his goal. He took it well, shall we say? Was it intentional? Did it just deflect off him? I might put a poll on that up in the comments or on the community page. But he took his chance well. He put it in the back of the net. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters, because the biggest headline coming out of this football match is that Manchester United couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And that was evident from the first couple of minutes right through until quite literally the last kick of the game, when Garnacho could have made it 2-0 if it wasn't for a shocking pass and then an equally shocking finish. But like I said, we will get to that in the end. In terms of the actual overall game, I thought we played pretty well. Was it a performance that's going to be good enough to go to Brighton and win next week? Is it a performance that's going to be able to beat Liverpool when they come to Old Trafford in 2 weeks' time? Right now, obviously, that remains to be seen. But Fulham are a good side. They're a creative side. And I think we handled them pretty well, to be honest with you. There was a couple of opportunities. First 10 minutes, we weren't awake. First 5 minutes of the second half, we weren't awake. Something that we were very capable of all throughout all of Erik ten Hag's 2 years in charge so far. We don't start well at the first 10 minutes of a match, and certainly the first 10 minutes of a second half. We still need to work on that. That was when Fulham had the vast majority of their chances, and we weren't awake again, and a better team might have punished us in those moments. But once we got into the game, some of the passages of play are some of the best football Manchester United have played for 10 years. And I mean that. We saw it last week in the Community Shield when we were up against Manchester City. We were picking them to pieces. And we were picking Fulham to pieces tonight. The link-up from Casemiro to Ahmad and Bruno and Mount and Mainu in particular. I thought Mainu was absolutely outstanding on the ball. Again, considering his age and also his reading of the game, the interceptions and the tackles that Mainu was making, it's no surprise that he went off, because he got through so much work in the time that Mainu was on the pitch that he was integral in how well that we played. And I've left Rashford out of that conversation for now, because, again, I don't think it was Rashford's anywhere near best performances in a Manchester United shirt, and I was quite disappointed when Ahmad was the one that was taken off for Garnacho, because again, I thought Ahmad was causing Robinson more problems than Rashford was causing Tete, and not only that, Rashford wasn't tracking Tete back anywhere near as much as Ahmad was tracking Robinson back. And again, we'll get to substitutions shortly, but like I was talking about, style of play, the link-up between the midfield was absolutely sensational at times, and the only disappointment was they didn't put the ball in the net. We spoke about it last week with the Manchester City game. How many goals could we have scored if there was a striker on the pitch? There wasn't. The chances fell to Bruno in the first half, and he didn't take them. I'm a little annoyed he didn't take one of them. Like, Bruno Fernandes is a world-class player. The expectation is, and with his goal-scoring record for Manchester United, you expect quality opportunities to fall to Bruno, and you expect him to score at least half of them, if not more. And he's had two clear-cut opportunities for me in that first half. He spooned the first one, going for a Trivela. And the second one, really, he's got no excuses at all. He's just got to bury it, and he's not done it. And in the second half, the same chance fell to Mason Mount. A slightly harder chance. This was relatively good play from Rashford, albeit he got it through to Mason Mount via completely cocking up his skill move. But he got the ball through to Mason Mount. It was another 1v1 chance. And again, denied by the legs of Leno, when really a more calm and composed finish, a little dink over the goalkeeper, little fake shot round the goalkeeper, slide the ball in the open net, would have made the difference. Now, obviously we were crying out for a forward to come on, and Joshua Zirkzee was the one who came on. But what was most interesting for me is he actually ended up playing deeper than Bruno did. Like, I know everyone's been talking about how he's a 9.5. Well, if that's going to be the case, why have we signed him? I know he's got the goal, and fair play to him for getting his goal, but that's as much as a concern for me as it was a positive that he got his goal, because he's only got himself on the ball 12 times in 20 minutes. He's only had one touch in the opposition box, and that was his goal. There was a couple of opportunities. Garnacho and Rashford both respectively put balls into that box. in the time that Zirkzee was on the pitch. And just like within the first half, he wasn't in the box as Mount wasn't in the box. So what job is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to be playing up front with Højlund when Højlund's back? In which case, where's Bruno going to play? Is the plan just to play with no forward this year and we'll just sort of press and pick our moments? If we're going to play like that, it's very dangerous because we're relying on very limited moments to score goals. But, like I say, we did have chances in that match. And ultimately, a better goal scorer would have taken those chances. And thankfully, once Zirkzee came on, when his chance came, he took it. And Manchester United get the 1-0 win. Only other concerns I have were how we reacted when the ball got turned over. Like I say, I think our actual build-up play was, like I said, some of the best football we've played for 10 years. We look really good on the ball in this new system under Ten Hag. But because of how fluid it is, when we lose it, a lot of players are out of position, and I don't think they've worked out quite who should be covering who when they lose the ball, and that's where Fulham had their opportunities. There are a few counter-attacks where, like I say, I think about Brighton next week. I especially think about Liverpool in 2 weeks' time. You allow that ball to run to the likes of McAllister, to Soboslai, to Salah. All of a sudden, they're going to play slightly better passes than what Andreas Pereira and Emil Smith-Rowe were playing. I say this, it happened in the game at Old Trafford against Liverpool last year, and they had some 5-on-2s and they kept cocking it up themselves. So maybe we get away with it, but that's a little bit of a concern. But I think it only really became prominent in the second half because, like I said, Kobbie Mainoo was tiring, and then that left Casemiro a little bit exposed. I'm going to throw this out there, by the way. Casemiro was my man of the match again today. I thought he was absolutely sensational. He was the best player on the ball. I lost count of the amount of important tackles and interceptions that he made. He was blocking the ball. He was winning headers at both ends of the pitch. There was this corner where Onana just comes flying out, gets nowhere near it. Martinez would have got there before Onana, and Casemiro saved the goal. He was everywhere he needed to be today, Casemiro. Again, when he gets isolated, he is in trouble. But when Mainoo's fit and playing alongside him, the pair of them in there look absolutely fantastic. And I wasn't really worried about Fulham on the break other than the one big one where, like I said, we got caught forward. Martinez then charged out of defence, put a challenge in on Muniz. It ran through. It was 2v1. All Andreas Pereira had to do was find Iwobi in the left wing position. But the pass wasn't great, and Harry Maguire made the most vital interception possibly that we'll see all season from a Manchester United player that kept it at 0-0 at a time where we really couldn't afford to concede. Because the next point I'm going to make was I wasn't that convinced by his actual choice of substitutions. I've already mentioned that I can't understand why he took Ahmad off instead of Rashford, because I think it would have made more sense to leave Ahmad out there and put Garnacho on the left, or if you're taking Ahmad out, put Anthony on the right, so you just keep that balance there still the same. And then I really didn't like the double change of putting De Ligt and Evans on for Maguire and Mazraoui, because firstly, Mazraoui, what a debut for a defender. He did everything he needed to do. He didn't put a foot wrong defensively. He was in the right place to clear up a chance that Fulham had in the first 5 minutes. At the back post, he was really good. How many times have I sat here moaning about Wan-Bissaka and Dalot at the back post? The amount of crosses Fulham were putting in, and Mazraoui was winning those headers over Iwobi in situations that I think Dalot and Wan-Bissaka probably would have lost. So, very impressed with him. He gave the ball away a couple of times, but it's his first game for Manchester United. He only signed 3 days ago. He's not used to the shape that we're playing yet. But he looks very good, very two-footed, tall, physical, made some great tackles. And I think give him a couple more weeks, you're going to see a very accomplished-looking right-back or left-back for Manchester United in Mazraoui. Now, finally, like I said, I'm talking about the substitutions. Him going off and Maguire going off seemingly with a slight knock. I think he's all right. I thought Maguire played very, very well as well. It just felt like a little bit of a waste for me. I think we could have made, like I said, maybe put Anthony on for Rashford, moved Garnacho over to the other side. I just would not have taken Mazraoui off. If we were going to take anyone off to move Martinez out, I'd rather just taken Dalot off because I think Mazraoui was having a better game than Dalot. But it is what it is. Those are the decisions that he made. Ultimately, it didn't end up costing us. And like I said, we come away with the result, and it's just unfortunate that when the final chance of the game came, it was a massive waste once again, and it just sort of summed up the whole performance, whereby Rashford gets another opportunity. He gets very lucky in how the opportunity comes about, but he's 2v1. He just either plays a simple pass to Garnacho or he feints it, goes round the keeper and puts the ball in the back of the net. And not only does Rashford not play a good pass in regards to he doesn't play it to his goal-scoring foot, but he plays it behind him and it's under-hit as well. It's such a bad pass. And I feel sorry for Garnacho because he's the one that's going to get absolutely done over by the media about this one. Oh, Garnacho misses an open goal, but it's not Garnacho's fault. What are you supposed to do? He's got a player on his back. Rashford's played it behind him. It's on his weaker foot. And he's got to try and drag it into the back of the net whilst he's falling over. It was a shocking pass from Rashford. And look, more shooting practice needs to be done. Certainly, the coaches need to get their teeth into them. Van Nistelrooy needs to sort out the poor finishing. This new guy we've got, Andreas Georgsson, what's he doing, by the way? Because offensive set pieces, Casemiro and Maguire were permanently offside like they were all of last season. And defensive set pieces, we were still doing the half-man marking, half-zonal marking, and we had Mainu and Martinez marking Issa Diop, who's like 6'10". Like, the mismatch was unbelievable. And then Zirkzee come on, and he was marking nobody, and it was still Mainu marking Issa Diop. Like, it's still a massive concern for me, that. I think we're going to still concede goals from set pieces until we get that sorted. And, like I say, we've taken this guy. He was a manager somewhere in, like, Lindstrom or something. I can't remember the name of the club, but he was a manager there. He's come in to be Manchester United set-piece coach. And offensively and defensively, we're approaching set pieces the exact same way. So what is this guy doing? Answers on a postcard, please. But ultimately, we end up with a win, 3 points, clean sheet, the sort of game we'd have lost last season, the sort of game that we quite literally lost last season when we lost 2-1 at home to Fulham. So we've already put right one wrong from last season. And look, I am filled with as much optimism as I am scepticism, if not more optimism. Because, like I said, we've played good football. We've got a win. We've got a clean sheet. If you'd have offered me that this morning, I'd have taken it. Bring on Brighton next week. Have a good week to rest and recover. Get De Ligt up to full fitness. Get Mazraoui playing 90 minutes next week. Still, in my opinion, drop Rashford, play Garnacho and Ahmad. We'll see what this idea around Zirkzee is. I would like to see him further forward, certainly until Højlund's back, because I just don't like this idea that Bruno's going to play further ahead of him. But it got us a goal in the end. Hopefully that's going to be the pattern going forward for the rest of the season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you very soon.